are amazing things. They hold us up, they support us, they make us strong. But bones have other uses. In the past, bones were thrown by diviners, seeking out the mysteries of the future. Now the bones are cubes, made of plastic or resin, but they still reveal things to us. As they fall from our fingers and rattle across the table, the story becomes clear. Welcome to Bone Throwers Theater, an RPG actual play podcast.
Hello and welcome back to this season-ending commentary of Bone Throwers Theater. This is Johnny, who normally plays Chime North.
I'm Ellie, playing Archi.
I'm Aaron, and I usually play Sam Feluge.
This is Jeremy, usually playing Julian Illix.
This is Jeff, usually playing Jerr Lan.
And I'm Jordan, and I am the GM. Yay! Guys, this has been a fantastic season of Bone Throwers Theater.
A fantastic season finale. Oh my goodness, these last series of episodes. After each one, we're just like, oh my goodness.
That was
awesome.
It's definitely, please don't cancel between seasons.
Yeah. We promise we still have something in the tank.
Well, which brings up an interesting point. We got halfway through season 2, and I mean, we're talking about the direction this is going to go, and each of us are like, I don't know if we're going to be able to wrap this up in 2 seasons like we normally do. So we are entering, the players, as Bone Thrower Seers sitting around the table, are entering uncharted territory, just like our characters.
Yeah.
As we plan out a 3rd season of a campaign.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, how long did Terra Proximus go?
Terra Proximus, still 2 seasons. It was maybe just a couple more episodes than
So
where we are right now. It's like 60-some, and we're at 50-some right now.
Yeah, so the thing for Terra Proximus was that we didn't actually have a set number of sessions to define a season. That was something that I introduced with Angel's Guard, and I actually think that it was a very good innovation.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Because I think that having season breaks actually makes me as a GM focus on how the story is being molded a little bit more.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. The way we did Terra Proximus with starting season 2 with flashback scenes gave a new feel to season 2.
Yeah.
Which took the story in a different direction as well. So
it did.
It gave something new to drive the story.
Yeah.
As well, just like planning out the seasons gives something new.
I enjoy how much we experiment with structure. I think that is something that is a distinctive advantage of how we play. Like it's not just linear. It's like we've had this opportunity in the season 1 to do some side shots, and now in season 2 we've done some flashbacks that have really helped define a character that we didn't really know a lot about at the very beginning.
Well, even the world, like, we know a lot about some of the backstory, and we know a lot of the history.
Yeah.
But it also gives us some other insights about the part where when we came to this world, things of that nature. So it was stuff that was definitely outlined in the microscope session.
Yeah.
But without any clear communication.
So the first flashback scene with Archie.
Oh my gosh.
Jeff and I, across the table, we're sitting here dying, like looking at each other because we both had the same thought. And some of that theory could still possibly be true, but not as it's laid out in the timeline. We discussed after that episode, and we didn't want to discuss it in front of Jordan just in case it would bring some bad juju. So Jeff and I stepped outside and discussed what it was. And both of us immediately thought that that first flashback scene was actually centuries ago.
Yeah. Yeah, a couple hundred years ago.
And the water elemental that was in Archie is actually Jerr's water elemental.
That would be crazy.
Yeah.
That would be pretty fun. I didn't think about that because that would totally redefine Jerr as a character because that would mean that Jerr is an android.
No, not necessarily.
Yes, because
because remember he got forced to
yes,
bond
he
the
was
water
forced to
elemental instead of the
Earth.
earth elemental.
Which he was choosing Earth, but
He wanted earth, but he was forced
that's right.
and
water.
here's the part that I thought of that could conceivably still be true. I mean, it's not the way we set it up in Microscope, but could be an interesting twist that androids, humans think they created and invented androids, but that comment when we came to this planet, when we came to this world, that
We
elementals
reversed engineered.
yeah, we humans reverse engineered, and androids are a lot older than even any humanity knows because elementals have been coexisting with humans for a long time,
Longer than we knew.
under the guise of androids.
Yeah.
So even before any humans knew that there were such thing as elementals, there were androids.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can see it. I like it.
Well, and that's kind of how the thrust of that monologue went because it was like we had to figure out some way to coexist with them, and this is what we chose. We chose artificial forms. Now, that's not necessarily how things are always done. So somewhere along the line, the elementals had a drastic shift in their thinking. That idea has been something that's been kind of playing in the back of my mind for a while. Is like, no, it probably didn't start off this way, but because we're basically living in a world where everything is coming apart, right? We're living where things are not supposed to be the way that they've become, and so this is really interesting to see how this is being shaped.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think that it's been really cool to learn about the characters and everything like that and really focus on the characters a lot. And now we're moving into the bigger world. So
now we get to see the world and how our characters interact with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to... We're going to see how Chime interacts with it because everybody else has been outside the dome.
Well, yeah,
In one shape or form.
Tried to hint at
Yeah.
that Jerr had been outside, that Sam had been outside. Obviously, as players, we know Archie and Bear have been outside. So, Chime, you're the only one that is truly a fish out of water in this experience.
So Sam's time in the wilderness is very limited.
Julian and apparently now Jerr, which I had no idea of, have spent extensive time and have been trained to spend time in the wilderness.
Yeah.
So that's why when we were in the school, Julian was like, he knows exactly the things to grab that we need. Because he's going to sort of be in his element, which we saw a little bit of in the beginning of season 2 with Julian's flashback scene. Even as a little kid, he was being trained to be outside.
Yeah.
Another big piece of plot mover in the game, the MacGuffin of this session.
Oh my gosh.
The helmet.
Yeah.
Well, the helmet and
Del Linden.
There's another big one in there that I know it's going to be a big point in season 3, if and when it comes out. And we'll can talk about each of these 3 individually. Is the fact that Choler's elemental.
Yeah.
That is in Archi.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a big
That's a huge... To me, that's the biggest one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The helmet was a cool...
Yeah.
cool
It was
addition.
definitely a MacGuffin.
First, let's talk about Del Linden, because that's the one that sort of came first, if we don't count the flashback one, which is the huge one. About halfway through that, not even halfway through, shortly after you said, there's this biggest air elemental you have seen.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, holy crap, this is a council member. And he is showing his face. We're all going to die. And Jordan, you did a good job of making it feel like you were trying to kill us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I thought you were actually trying to kill us.
I thought we were all dead. Like I was. All right. It's game over. That's the end.
And as much as you guys heard me complain about it. It was a very good story point to have Julian's shot that was dead on not do a bit of damage, not do a thing.
It made it so much more terrifying.
Yes, it would have been a little anticlimactic to get to this big scene, and then this big baddie's threatening, and then he's just like,
one shot, boom,
he's
done.
gone.
But I mean, that's happened so many times in the games.
that
It's
Rouge.
like,
Baton Rouge.
that I had to like kind of let's pump the brakes a little bit here, literally.
And thinking back to it, Terra Proximus, Jordan, I mean, you owed that to me to stop the bullet because I did the exact opposite with AJ McKinley. You're like, hey, AJ McKinley's going to be this big bad. I'm like, I'm dropping a hero point on it and I'm killing him. Jordan's like, oh, okay, fine. I guess I have to let you do it.
I think though that's a sign of growth. It's like, yeah, sure, there's a certain amount of plot armor for the main characters, right? You know, in the way that we do the stories. But you know, I've got to be able to have something that's terrifying to you guys. And every time I've tried to do it in the past, I've underestimated it. And so this time I'm like, I'm just pulling out all the stops.
Or you underestimate the first time, and then the next time you overestimate.
Yeah.
Like Terra Proximus, we fought the first Jaguars, and we're like, slaughtered them. And Jordan's like, how am I going to... Oh, those were kids.
Yeah.
The next one are the actual trained adults.
Yeah.
It's like,
But so here's the thing, it's like, I was like, okay, so he's absolutely stacked in terms of dice.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
You know, and that was the only way to really make Del Linden. And also, he was a lot of fun to play as a former Black Ops character who has like ascended up the ranks to the councilship. And I wonder how he did that.
Yeah.
That scene, I thought, was just a great moment as well. Just entering into that scene, knowing, okay, there's their lookout here. We're going to stage our lookouts. Everybody knows we got lookouts everywhere.
Yeah.
Hopefully they won't know where all of us are, and apparently they didn't. They only knew where Julian was. And as Jordan says, that moment of stopping the bullet, very cinematic in one of those moments where you think this is going to be the kill shot.
Yeah.
You think this is going to be, oh, they've got this handled, and then something
With a roll
very
like that.
unexpected happens.
Yeah.
It's like
With a
the
roll
bullet
like
slows
that?
down. He just pulls it out
Yeah,
of the
well,
air.
when that
pulls it
happened,
down,
that's when I was like, okay, yeah, we're all dead.
Yeah.
And and I always build my character fully expecting they will die at some point. I get into my characters, but at the same time, I'm like, yeah, they're going to die. It's just the way it happens.
Yeah, and honestly, halfway through season 2, you know, when we started, I had this attachment to Bear.
Yeah.
And then the talk started to happen of, oh, Bear's going to stick around. And I was like, well, now it's time to turn over Bear. Because I still want to hang on to Julian. One of them is, if I hang on to Bear, Julian's going to go.
Yeah. No, Bear is a very fun, unexpected NPC.
Yes.
Oh, Bear is great. Bear is turning into, to cross-reference our campaigns, the Burntail of Elements of War.
Yeah, he's becoming the GMP NPC in certain regards.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was so convinced that we were all going to die in that with the Del Linden. I was willing to almost sacrifice myself to take him out.
Yeah.
Like when I pulled out,
Whether when you had the bomb,
I had a
Yeah, it felt like it. I was like, oh my
see,
God.
what I was
like-
expecting was for you to set off the bomb, like, as you're setting off the bomb, turn to shadow.
Ooh.
I didn't think of that.
That's what I was expecting.
Oh, well.
No, well. So yeah, I was trying to get that out and get it to blow up because that's like 5D of damage. All right,
If
that's
you
a
could-
pretty hefty. It's no 7.
If you could move faster, you'd be Nightcrawler.
Yeah.
Every
you
time
never
he was
have-
about to get injured, just poof, turn to shadow, reappear somewhere else.
Need to figure out how to move faster.
Yep. Now design your spell and make the target a little bit higher.
Yeah.
I want to circle back to the flashbacks for a little bit because Ellie and I actually planned those out beforehand. Like
Those were good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good.
Like I had
were fun.
And they were.
I sent her an outline of like these are the points that I want to hit.
It was very. A reason I like it is very unexpected too, because as players knowing the background of Archie, there was at times during the flashback scene where I totally expected. Oh, well, this should happen.
Yeah.
This is not happening this way.
Yeah.
Ooh, this is interesting.
Yeah.
It was just as interesting for us as it was for you guys.
Well, the big reveal about the elemental.
Oh yeah.
I told her that there was going to be, what did I say? There was going to be a scene where the elemental
Right. They merge.
right there was going to be a merge, but I didn't tell her who that other elemental was.
So I was just in the dark as you guys.
And you saw all of us. I know you
like
probably saw, all of us were just like losing our minds silently on the side while we're letting the scene unfold in front of us. That was like,
I'm still losing my mind.
This is Choler.
Yep.
Yeah.
You don't understand the emotional turmoil that puts me in.
Oh, I can't wait till you find out.
or Julian at
Yeah.
that point as well, because that's the person that
real
kidnapped
reason.
his kid.
Yeah.
It's gonna be.
That's the real reason she's dead.
yeah.
Yep. That's gonna be awesome.
Yeah. So basically I turned your character, who everybody seems to like very well,
Oh yeah.
into the most hated villain from season 1.
Oh, lovely. I would like to
And-
make a note. This is my first season so
Yeah,
far
yeah,
of this campaign.
We should have given you season 1 to listen to. We gave you a pretty good chunk of it.
I gave her the episode where the bomb went off. So,
Oh, yeah.
So that's a
she
pretty
should
good
have known
Yeah.
who Choler was from that scene. But since last session, when we started talking about, the characters are most likely going to have to leave the city and be out in the wilderness. And it seems like it could be going in this direction. We should find a way to be a little bit more creative than this. But has anybody seen the original version of Red Dawn?
No.
No.
Yes.
Yes.
Ooh, the scene where they are in the snowy wilderness and they realize there's a spy among them.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what would be really good? I'll have to think about this idea. But I'm thinking like an interstitial episode that bridges us to the next, like a mini series. So
Or something like Fiasco, not necessarily Fiasco, but something like a one-shot setting would be a good way for us to do the whole wandering through the wilderness.
yeah, that's
thing.
exactly what I'm trying to
Yeah,
get
'cause
at.
it's,
So
it's
I'm
not
thinking
doing,
a full
like,
season.
5 or 6 sessions of us wandering through the wilderness.
Because
Because they could.
And this is something I know we'll try and flesh out in between now and the next time we pick Elements of War back up, is during this next season, conceivably, we have to make it to the Animal Preserve and most likely back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
considerably.
Exactly.
Or we do a one shot that gets us to the Animal Preserve.
And then we go. That's my thought. Yeah.
Ooh, a episode focusing on each character's perspective in traveling the wilderness.
Yeah.
But back to the helmet. That was the third one that was on there. I thought that was very interesting. And again, it comes to the point where as characters and also as players, there was a bit of mystery into it because we were like, wait, is this actually supposed to be happening? Is this actually, or is this thing plausible? Is this able to be done in the world that we have created? And made me think that the level of technology is another form of control. That there's actual higher levels of technology that are not
Released
Released.
to everyone.
and I know that's the same, but I'm thinking there's a huge gap
Yeah.
between
The ruling body and the rest of us.
everybody's told that no, those things aren't possible.
Yeah.
So to go back to our North Korea analogy,
Yeah. Same idea.
the Kim Jong Un drives a Jaguar and a BMW, and the rest of the country drives whatever Datsun knockoff they make on their own. You know.
Well, yeah, but but that's at the same time is not something, at least I assume, that the general population knows that, the leader's going to have the fancy car.
Yeah.
It's not something that they're totally unaware of, that, there's no fancy cars, there's only these.
Oh, right. Right.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying.
Well, it's like, it would be like if the citizens of North Korea all had dial-up internet. They know internet exists, but they only have dial-up. They think that's the fastest there is. Meanwhile, Kim Jong-un has gigabit speed connections.
Well, yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Because that's a pretty drastic.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
drastic gap between again that. But yeah, that's a very interesting idea.
Because all the other, I mean, one, there's something can be powered wirelessly that wasn't designed to have an elemental in it.
Mm-hmm.
And then two, if you notice, every time we reference computers, they're this big clunky things,
Yeah.
like from the
CRTs.
70s and 80s.
Yeah.
And then you've got this,
Super
for our
sophisticated
culture,
high-tech.
super sophisticated heads-up display in a helmet,
Yeah.
Yeah,
which is
That
still
could-
would be cutting edge for our times.
Yeah.
that
So-
maintained a database on every person that could
Facial
identify
recognition and pull up the
identify whether or not they were.
What kind of elemental they
Yeah.
had?
Yeah, you're talking a couple terabyte hard drive inside that helmet.
I mean, it was
Yeah, that's another thing. I was like, ooh, someone's figured out how to do the technology aspect of what happens to Julian's innate power when Sam does his magic.
yeah.
Well,
They
so
can actually
yeah.
see the
I mean,
signatures
well, at
of the
least-
elementals.
Well, it wasn't quite the same. It was more a vague. Oh, it's water.
Right,
or,
it wasn't
"Oh, it's
exactly
fire."
the same, but
Right.
it was
It wasn't
in that
like seeing.
about.
It was a
the-
technological version of it.
yeah.
Yeah.
but the simple answer is that elementals developed it. It was something that they brought with them.
Yeah.
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 Another aspect that I really, really liked.
Pesky aliens.
And Jordan, I love this about the way we build our campaigns is there are moments where Jordan was like, this is the mythos. This is what's going on behind this. And then there's other times where it's like, all right, you guys are about to find out a bank of information. What do you find out? And what I liked about this one is the dossiers that
That Dell had. On
Dell
all
had.
this.
We went around the table and everybody got to create their own sort of all right, what does the council really know about your character?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was very interesting.
Uncanny how much correct information they had.
And how much
Incorrect.
Informa-
Yeah, I mean, it was some of
Information
it was
they
very
didn't have.
vague. Some of it was relatively specific, but nothing super duper.
Well, I can.
Although some
Yeah.
of it was maybe information that we ourselves didn't have because our characters didn't have.
Right, characters didn't have. That's what I was going for
Yeah.
with what Julian. And so, sort of, I wanted to tie in some of the things that we had talked about as players
Yeah,
into Julian's background, since I was creating for what Julian was. We already said that Julian didn't originate in Consiglio, and there would have to have been a reason for him to be allowed to move to Consiglio. And to say that he was allowed to move because he was already on the council's watch list.
Yep.
Because of that connection, which they are calling the Rogue One, which I was attempting to be a reference to the elemental that was in his mother, that
Yeah.
was then in Aelin, that for some reason, and that was written into the backstory that might have been an elemental that the Fire Drakes were after to have in their possession already, but for some reason they can't control that one, which is why they're calling it the Rogue One.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I picked up on that. It was a lot of fun. Let's go ahead and talk our 3 points. Let's go ahead and talk character points in general. Since this was a season closer, and I feel
1
like
point each.
2 points. No, I'm going to go ahead and give you
38 points.
38. Is that exactly how much
I
you need?
should get 38.
Well, you're not getting it. Everybody gets 20 points.
20 points, not bad. Not bad.
All right, let's go ahead and talk character, role-playing, snack.
Character advancement first.
Yes.
I'm gonna say it was built and designed for Archi,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which I think was very fitting.
yeah.
And even though there was an outline, I do like, gosh, there's some of these choices that you keep constantly making as far as.
The outline was very vague. The outline was very vague.
And
It was
I thought you developed the character
Oh yeah, definitely.
well because it was has always been there's this mystery. It's like, oh,
And the funny part is, it's really good character development for listeners. Terrible character development as far as the other players,
No.
the other characters are
No,
concerned.
no. I think this developed Archie's character for Julian so much more. Like, he has a more defined, all right, this is exactly what's going on with Archie.
Oh.
I think he has that, aside from not knowing that specific fire elemental.
Well, yeah.
Ooh.
Oh,
What'd you know?
Did you ever see Cholers?
I did.
you did.
But it's something had to have been done differently to it.
Well,
It's in some form of
battling
containment. I gets it.
Okay, so yeah, so that for that reason, Julian has not made that connection.
And,
anyway-
and you haven't made the connection to Project Vertiginous yet.
Well, Julian doesn't know that any of that information. Only Sam knows that information, because Sam was the only one that actually saw that in the heads-up
helmet, yeah.
display.
Yeah.
But what I was saying is, yes, last session to Julian, Archie was this big enigma. It's like, I have no clue what's going on here with this elemental. Is it an android problem? Is it an elemental problem? And the more and more they talked, as Julian talking to Archie, and then Julian pinpointing, okay, now I'm not talking to Archie. Yeah, now I'm back at talking to Archie. And I think that was a big conduit, using Bear to sort of figure some of this out. Julian has a more understanding of Archie's character. So I say to Julian even that he's not so much confused anymore by what's going on. So I think that plays a big part into that character advancement.
Yeah. Chime's a little confused because Julian seems to be trusting Chime a little bit more.
Ooh, that's another thing to talk about. Is that the box thing? They made this switch to the box. Julian did that because he does not trust that if and when Katari wakes up, that box won't still be in play and in danger.
Yeah.
So he wanted to be the only one that actually knew where the box was, so that if at any point somebody comes after Chime for the box, he knows that Katari is the one that...
And Chime is a pretty soft target, too, so...
Yeah.
He knows that Katari is the one that actually
Leak
the information.
Oh, no, I'm following.
I got that, like...
As you're doing it.
Yeah. But
So
Chime is confused.
and that's why he led off with, "Oh, I'm not going to tell you everything because it's for the safety of the group."
Yeah.
Yeah.
So getting back to character...
Yeah, character advancement.
My vote
Archie.
is for Archie,
Archie, yeah.
definitely. Hands down.
Yeah.
Best role-playing.
Jeremy.
Yeah.
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 That manifesto
That
took a
speech.
lot out of me.
Yeah.
Took a lot out of me.
No, once
The
that
entire
speech,
time,
yeah.
all I was thinking was, man, this is like an Arrow speech.
Yeah.
No, see, I was actually
what I
thinking of
put in was-
Guy Fawkes.
Take back your city.
was
That's what I was like, oh yeah, this is Arrow. All right, yeah, come on.
See, to me, it was definitely a Guy Fawkes speech.
Yeah. So it was great because I feel like the last two sessions with Sam, we had an incredible monologue. And then with this one, we had an incredible speech that came out of it. I feel like we're like really starting to fire on some high octane creative cylinders, like coming up with some really good character moments.
Well, and the idea for your people listening is Jordan hinted at Julian doing something like this to spark them actually having to leave the city.
Yeah.
So coming into this session, it was always in the back of my mind, Julian's going to find a way to do this manifesto, which is obviously going to spark this big conflict in Consiglio.
I think even like the night of that we last played together, I sent the quote from the microscope session outlining how there was going to be an uprising in the city.
And it has always been the thought in the back of my mind, since Julian has been so hard pressed against the elemental control, that Julian, maybe not on purpose, is the one that sparks the war.
Yeah.
And at one point, when Julian started to get really dark after he learned of Alien's death, I was torn around, does he do this on purpose? Does he start the war on purpose? So that was also a thought as we're heading into the session, is like, Julian's going to do this manifesto. is it going to be something that he actually does with only the help of Bear and Jerr, and when it airs, it is a shock to everybody else in the party? But the nature of how that worked, I kind of like where it was, where this was like, all right, this is our diversion.
Yeah.
And,
That's nice.
but also wanted to throw in some of Julian's things that he harps on over and over in the manifesto. That was not his overt attempt in sparking the city into this kind of conflict, but I think that's where a lot of it, the interpretation would have been taken by the public.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I like that idea of the chants of North in the street. Some of them are like empowering chants, and some of them are like calling for like justice against North.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you never know which is.
And you don't know which ones are empowering for who, and which ones are calling for justice for who.
I love it.
So, Jerr's initial response when Julian was putting forth his whole master plan to save the world, his initial response was no. But then he stopped and he thought about it, and he was like, "This could be really good for healing hands because it would destroy them back down to their basic roots.
And I think that's going to be...
They would be forced to be a group for healing rather than city domination."
Back a few months ago, we sat down and we were just talking about stuff, Jeff and I. And I said, so what do you see for Jerr Lan? And he said that he saw them remolding healing hands. So this has been something that I feel is coming, and it's probably going to be a major thrust for the next season. You know, it is basically... Because I feel like in some ways we've dealt with the council in a fairly satisfactory manner because...
Well, we've kind of left it that obviously we're leaving the city. There's going to be this huge uprising against the council.
Yeah.
And I kind of like that we've left it that there are some pretty big names in the council that will probably survive this uprising.
Yeah.
Maybe not be in control, but will survive.
Yep.
And Jordan, you brought it back when I forget where we were talking about, and that's why I put that in Julian's dossier.
Yeah.
That the one that has been tracking him has been the Void.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the Void seems to be, we need to follow this guy for some reason. So, and knowing that their powers are very similar
Yeah.
in their innate ability, that's probably why.
The Void is
Yeah.
fun because he can force you out.
Yep. So yes,
Do you take your point?
Jeremy gets the point. By far.
Snack.
Ah.
There were a lot of good snacks tonight.
Yeah, there were.
Mine's for the chicken satay with the peanut dipping sauce.
There was chicken satay, peanut sauce. There was a peanut butter
Pie.
cream pie. There was
Apple loaf and lemon loaf.
apple loaf, lemon loaf. And there were, I'm going to say it, there were these honey cheddar cheese puffs.
Make hers yours.
I could not stop eating.
And their chips and salsa,
And chips and salsa.
which I ate a huge pile of.
Everything was pretty good.
Yeah.
Everything was.
Everything was very tasty.
I'm gonna have to say the apple, whatever.
Apple loaf is
Yeah, the apple loaf.
apple caramel.
Apple caramel, even better.
I'm going to have to say the honey cheddar cheese puffs. I mean, literally on break, everybody's like, you're going back for more? I was like, yeah!
And I remember, like, at the beginning, you were like, I don't know, I'll just try them just to see
Yeah,
what
I
they like.
picked up the bag and I was like, honey
I know, you made
cheddar?
one.
I was like, what is this? And then I had one, I was like, these are pretty good. These are pretty good. 5 cheese puffs later, I was like, these are really good.
I'm gonna have to vote for the peanut butter cream pie. Yeah.
God, do we have, like, 4 separate votes?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. 4 separate things?
5
Uh-huh.
separate votes.
What'd you vote for?
I haven't voted yet.
Oh. Yeah, because there's 5 of us.
Yeah.
I can't count it all tonight.
Neither could your rolls. Our rolls are awful.
It happens sometimes. I'm glad
Yeah.
it happened in the climax though, because it made it really tense.
Unless you got like a 38, then I mean.
And then your
Who
GM
cares
had
if you roll well?
your GM had to bollocks it all up for you.
Yeah.
All right. Deciding vote.
No, I'm the deciding vote if there's a tie.
Well, we've got
Well,
one
we
for
can't have
peanut
it.
butter, one for
Well, no, I
chicken,
could vote for chips and salsa.
Oh yeah, if you vote for chips
one
and salsa,
for
then it's
the apple, one for the cheese puffs. So yeah, Johnny, if you vote chips and salsa, then there's a tie. We're gonna make Jordan decide.
I feel like I should vote chips and salsa because I really want to vote for my own, just because I'm more in the mood for savory than sweet, you know.
valid.
So, but I'm gonna say chips and salsa, so Jordan has to decide.
Oh no.
It seems like every time there's a tie, there is the potential of the tie. The last person always like, I'm opting out. Jordan, you decide.
Well, okay, if it weren't for my own,
Yeah.
Work for my horse.
So I found myself going back to the chicken pretty regularly, just as much as you were going back to the cheese puffs. But so here's the thing: is that like I've got to go with Protes over everything, right? Just for personal lifestyle choices. So I'm going to have to go with the chicken.
I'll take it.
That's good chicken. And that peanut sauce.
Yeah, that was really the kicker.
The peanut sauce is why you got my vote.
I know.
Johnny's happy. He's back on top of the food chain.
Yep.
All right,
After two consecutive rounds of losing, Johnny's back on top.
all right, people. We have no idea what's coming next
Nope.
on Bone Throwers Theater.
We
Season
will
3.
return.
Lots of snow.
We will return. Lots of snow, lots of bitterness, but we will be back with some frost in the air, some nip in our noses, on our noses, I guess. I don't know. It should be for an exciting time as we get to explore the world in further detail. All right, well, have fun. See y'all later. You can listen to this group of losers again. Thanks. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to Bone Throwers Theater. Our cast is Aaron, Ellie, Jeff, Jeremy, Johnny, and Jordan. We are releasing this podcast under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives 3.0 Unported license. That means you can share the podcast, but please do not modify it or try to gain financially from it. If you would like to visit our website, you can do so at bonethrowerstheater.com. If you would like to send us an email, you can do so at bonethrowerstheater@gmail.com. Our Twitter handle is Bone Throwers Theater. You can also look us up on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And until next time, may the bones fall ever in your favor. This has been a Nerd Circle podcast production.